Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, I just found out my girlfriend has been cheating on me with her boss. My head has been spinning since last night, and I really don't know what my next moves are. Some background info. My girlfriend and I have been together for 2 years now. No kids, but we did move into a new place in October, and we signed a 1-year lease. I'm 30 and she's 28. About a year ago, she started working at this new job that she absolutely loves. It pays good, and she's made some new friends there. In December, during their office Christmas party, I got to meet her boss for the first time. And it was very obvious to me, and probably anyone with eyes, that he was attracted to her. It made me uncomfortable, but she didn't give him any more attention than she did anyone else, so I didn't think anything more about it. Well, last month she got a raise, a significant one that even she was surprised about. She said she spoke to her boss, and he said it's for her performance. She accepted that answer, and I didn't. I told her he's obviously attracted to her, and that's why she got this raise. She got angry and accused me of saying that she doesn't work hard. We had a huge fight about it, and I ended up spending the night on the couch. We didn't speak for 2 days, and I ended up apologizing, but asked her to just watch out for this guy. On Friday, we had gone to a friend's house for dinner and drinks, and my girlfriend kept checking her phone and was whispering with one of her friends. I got a sinking feeling, but I tried to just ignore it because I didn't want to cause a scene in front of her friends. On the way home, I asked her who had been texting her all night, and she said, "A friend from work." And when I asked who, she said, "Why does that matter?" And she got really defensive, so again, I just dropped it. Saturday morning, while she was still sleeping, I decided to go through her phone, and I found hundreds of text messages between her and her boss. Very inappropriate messages, and also pictures. Honestly, I wanted to throw up. I took a couple of screenshots, and I looked at the conversations with the friend from the party who knew that this had been going on all along, and I was just gutted. She told her friend that he's the best she's ever been with. They talked about how the initial raise was to get her interested, and he's been giving her bonuses. And apparently, most, if not everyone at the office, knows about them hooking up, according to her friend's text messages. I took screenshots of everything and deleted the proof that I sent to myself. I haven't confronted her about any of this yet. I can't even look at her right now. I know she knows something is wrong, but she isn't talking to me either. I know the only logical answer is to break up with her, but I have a lease that I can't afford on my own. I don't know what to do. I'm so incredibly disgusted and heartbroken. I'm angry at her and myself. I feel like I saw all the red flags that this was happening and ignored every one of them. Go nuclear. I'm sure the HR department would love to have proof of company resources being used by an employee to hook up with one of his underlings. This same thing happened to my sister, except she got pregnant, but not by her boss. She was hooking up with her fiance and her boss. The boss's wife found out and confronted them at work. She was 28 too. Weird. My sister was fired. The boss, who owned the company, was not. My sister's life blew up day by day. Her fiance demanded that she leave and get a paternity test. She lost her job, her fiance, and her apartment. It turned out my nephew was the fiance's, who eventually got his life together and married someone else. Weird. My girlfriend I had at 28 did the same thing. Cheated with her boss. Found emails she had saved on a computer. We broke up. I thought about telling his wife, but decided to just move on. Now I'm married to a better woman and wish I had snitched. The friend is also disgusting and should be ashamed for encouraging it. Does she have a partner? I'm sure he would love to know that she's okay with the concept of cheating. Hope you're not too upset, bud. Congrats on learning one of life's most important lessons. Money and power get us the things we want. I've gone through similar situations with colleagues, but in my case, I was the boss. Just know it's nothing personal against you. She can't help being attracted to wealth and power, and him, being a guy, can't help but have at it when she throws herself at him. This is why guys need to strive to achieve our own greatness. In this day and age, you're either going to be the guy she's cheating on or the guy she's cheating with. Just depends on your money and power, bro. Karen pranks me with garden gnomes. Big mistake. My boyfriend's sister, Chrissy, pulled a prank on me 2 months ago. She left about 50 gnomes in my front yard. No warning, they were just there. I called people up and I asked them, but nobody would tell me. I guess this is part of the prank. I had no clue what was going on. Eventually, the kids in the neighborhood started picking them off, so I brought them inside my garage. 2 of them were pretty cute, so I cleaned them up and put them in the house. I waited for someone to come clean, but no one did. After 3 weeks, I decided I was going to just donate them. A few friends asked if they could have some, and I let them. I started giving them away to people who made comments about them. I told my boyfriend about my army, and he laughed. I thought he might have done it, but he said honestly he didn't, so I believed him. Well, he went on a 4-week trip with his family to Europe. I got a few emails from him, but we were both busy. I went on a trip myself for work and for fun. So when he got back, he asked how the gnomes were treating me, and I let him know that most of them had new homes now. He got really silent and asked me how many I had left. I told him 10. He asked who took them and said we needed to get them back. I was confused. It had been 2 months, and the gnomes were kind of a funny story, but I don't remember everyone who took one, let alone the kids who picked about 10 of them off the lawn. He then told me that they belonged to Chrissy, who thought I had just stored them in my garage, which is why she didn't pick them up before the trip. Chrissy is his sister. Apparently, Chrissy had been pulling the gnomes' army prank for years, and I'm the jerk who gave away her army. My boyfriend is furious with me now and asked why would I do that. I told him he should have come clean and I would have just kept them in the garage for her to pick up later. He said it wasn't how the prank worked. He said he needs to rethink the relationship now. He wants me to get them back as they are dear to Chrissy. Chrissy doesn't even know yet. I'm not sure what to do about this. I had a few people offer to return their gnomes, but the rest of the people said they gave them away to so-and-so and didn't know where they were now. This is such a surreal situation, and I have no clue what to do about it. I don't see how I was wrong, but I do feel bad, so what can I do? They have no reason to try to hold you accountable for not following the unreasonable rules of a game you didn't even know about. Give back the gnomes you have, but don't feel like you have to acquiesce and go out of your way to try and recover the gnomes that are lost. That's not your business. They left a bunch of stuff on somebody else's property, unannounced and unidentified, and you shouldn't be blamed for cleaning up your property. OP. I'm willing to give back the ones that I have and have gotten 3 back so far. Please show them this thread so they can see how stupid everyone thinks it is to play a prank on someone, abandon the material used for the prank for 2 months without owning up to it, and then demanding the gnomes back, and then getting angry when the gnomes, which had been abandoned for 2 months, are disposed of. That's stupid. This is one of the most ludicrous things I've ever read on this sub. You weren't wrong because you asked around to see who they belonged to. It's their own fault for doing such a stupid prank and then leaving you in the dark for months. If your boyfriend leaves you or holds this over your head, good riddance. OP. I just don't know what would make him think that I would keep them. I'm one of the neatest people I know. I don't keep junk around. I have a few things that I kept out of sentiment, but if I don't need it, I don't keep it. Update. I decided to bite the bullet and talk to Chrissy. I brought the gnomes I had to her house and knocked on the door. Chrissy's mom answered and asked me in. I was tired of the immaturity and mind games. My boyfriend has been sending me threatening, "Get me more gnomes, jerk," text messages. I could see a lot of red flags, or red hats, if you are so inclined. I wanted Chrissy to have her gnomes back and just get it over with. When I handed his mom the open box, she asked where I got these. She seemed really upset I even had them. I told her the story, pretty much what I said in the last post, but with some more detail. Her reply was, "Joe has been telling a totally different story." She seemed really hurt about the whole thing, and while I wanted to make a quick getaway, I was curious. Blah, blah, blah. His mom told me a bit of the background. I'm not going to repeat everything that she said, because some of it is sad and pathetic, and a little too dark for a post about gnome invasion. The gnome army belonged to Chrissy's late boyfriend, Steve. Steve and Chrissy used to put them in people's yards and then demand another member for their army. So the gnomes came from people that Steve and Chrissy knew over a period of about 5 years. Steve passed away, Chrissy stopped the gnome pranks and put them into storage. She has not pulled the prank in almost 2 years now, but freaks out if someone mentions getting rid of the gnomes or even moving the box. I felt like a jerk, but his mom thanked me for bringing some of them back. She did say the annoying line, "You should have kept them, even if you didn't know who they belonged to." She did say she was going to replace the gnomes in the boxes with other ones and hope Chrissy didn't notice. Not sure this is a smart idea. She said she wanted to believe me, but that this is likely the last time she would want me in her house. Gee, thanks. I said that I was fine. I had no intention of staying in a family who pulled weird pranks, then blamed the victims. One bridge burned. I mean, I understand she's likely upset because Chrissy apparently doesn't handle any mention of Steve well. She's likely going to be upset and never speak to the person at fault again, which is likely me. How I got them out of a storage unit 3 hours away? The mystery will likely haunt their family for years. As for my now ex-boyfriend, I went to his house and asked him why he pulled the prank. His answer was stupid, and he said he didn't know. He wouldn't answer me, and then he wouldn't tell me what was going on. He said he just wanted to do something cute, then it got out of hand, and he thought I would keep them. Something about having his own little secret made him happy. I got my things from his room and I left. I told him that our mutual friend, Jake, would bring his stuff by at a later time. Jake agreed to this and said Joe's story was BS. I guess Joe told people I got the gnomes out of the storage unit and put them in the yard to get attention. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I guess it was spiteful to do, but I did send Chrissy a Facebook message. Chrissy, I don't think we will be friends after this. I know you want to believe your brother, but I did not take your gnomes. I did not know why they were in my yard or even that you had them. Please understand I would never aim to hurt you, steal, or take from you. Your brother admitted to putting them in my yard, though I have no idea why he did it. I got an okay back, then she blocked me. I blocked Joe and his family. I'm not sure what to do now, but it's been a really interesting few weeks for sure. This prank works if it lasts about 1 day at most, and if the people who did it come clean and then get rid of the gnomes right after. This is so odd. Putting gnomes in your girlfriend's backyard, refusing to admit to doing it, then getting mad that she gave them away, and you lie to your family and say that she stole them, when you know how much they meant to your sister. Actually insane. OP should have smashed all the gnomes she still had once her trash boyfriend demanded that she get them back. That actually would have been metal AF. Yeah, OP just whips out a sledgehammer and starts smashing them. Is this what you want? Well, I'm not taking it no more. No more. Am I the jerk for being mad at my best man's girlfriend for making him choose between a dog and our wedding? My fiance, male 29, and I, female 26, got engaged last October after 6 years together and plan to marry this October. We both have a very complicated family, so we thought a lot about our weddings and decided that we just want peace and don't want to worry about all the family drama. So we planned to get married in Italy with only our best man and maid of honor. It's only a 4-hour drive to a small city we once discovered on a road trip. We invited my maid of honor and his best man to the wedding, call him Mike, male 29, and told them that they could bring their significant other also. The trip would be fully paid, and Mike is my fiance's best friend since they were in kindergarten. Mike's girlfriend, let's call her Courtney, female 28, and him have been together for 3 years. They were very welcoming towards her, and I befriended her also. We did a lot of things together, helped them move and build their home. Mike and Courtney are getting a dog, hopefully in September, so Mike told us he needed a different hotel because the one we chose is not dog-friendly, and at the time of our wedding, in October, they would probably have the dog. We apologized and looked for another hotel. Then he texted that Courtney thinks the dog wouldn't make the long drive, which we understood. We said there are probably a lot of friends and family who could take their dog, but Courtney doesn't want that. Mike told us that Courtney would probably stay home with the dog and he would travel alone. Here comes the drama. The following day, Mike wrote us that he will not come to our wedding because Courtney doesn't want to be alone with the dog for the weekend, and she also would like to attend the wedding. Courtney wrote to me that we could change our wedding month or the place, maybe just a wedding in our hometown, so that they could come. I said no. If we married in our hometown, the families would want to attend, and all the drama between parents and siblings would stress us out. My fiance asked Mike again if he couldn't come alone, and he finally told us that Courtney threatened to end the relationship if he doesn't stay with her and the dog. My fiance was absolutely sad and disappointed and told Mike his feelings. He's normally not overly emotional, but that was hard for him. Courtney wrote me the following day as if nothing had happened, and I told her that I'm absolutely disappointed in her, and I can't understand her behavior and how she puts this dog, who is in absolutely no danger or need to have 2 people dog-sitting him, over our wedding, and kind of expected her to apologize for all the stress she put us through. She called me an insensitive and offensive person, a bridezilla who wants her wedding above everything, and said she couldn't accept my behavior even if I apologized. I just can't comprehend why I should apologize. I feel like I can express myself to friends if I'm disappointed, and I absolutely didn't write anything offensive. Update. We discussed sending this thread to Mike, but decided ultimately against it, as he first wanted to talk to Mike himself, before revealing that I posted the whole thing on the internet. They met in secret yesterday. Courtney was at work, and Mike broke down crying. It's been super stressful for him. He had asked his family, especially his mom, to dog sit, but Courtney declined. His mother was furious that he would miss my fiance's wedding. She loves him. But Courtney told her that she had changed her mind and decided to let Mike go, but I then wrote her an offensive and mean message, so they decided against it. Mike lost it at that and told his family that she had never allowed him and that my message wasn't mean at all. He really told her that he wants to go and she should just live with that. She cried a lot and he felt bad. My fiance told him that he asked another friend of theirs, who has a kid, to come, and he said yes. His wife even asked if we wanted her and the baby to come. She would understand if that's too much, but we were happy to also invite them. Mike cried after hearing this and realized that he will not attend our wedding now because of Courtney. Today, Mike wrote my husband that Courtney told him that she was overreacting because she had the feeling he wouldn't value the dog, and that it's good practice for a baby. She doesn't want to apologize to us, but would accept if he goes to the wedding. I think Mike's family made it very clear that they think she's crazy for this, and she wants to be viewed as a good person. My fiance said that he won't change that back, and that Mike sadly will miss the wedding because we can't be sure that there is no more drama with Courtney. I know that this is hard for my fiance, but he hopes that Mike realizes now what Courtney will cost him and the future. Poor OP tried to avoid wedding drama by having only 2 attendees, only to be embroiled in drama over a so far hypothetical dog. It's just absurd. This was never about the dog, if she even intended to get a dog. This was about Courtney being jealous, possessive, and having main character syndrome. She couldn't stand OP and her fiance's wedding being important to Mike, so she wanted to throw a spanner in it. Mike's life will be miserable if he doesn't get rid of her. Bruh, where are y'all finding these people you're dating? Crazymatch.com? Am I the jerk for not allowing our daughter's boyfriend to stay with her on the trip that we're paying for and offering an ultimatum? My husband and our 16-year-old son and I are going next month to visit our daughter at her college, which is a few states away. She's a freshman and she's been with her boyfriend Steve for 3 years. Steve is a great kid, but since money is a bit tighter in his family, he's doing 2 years at a junior college while working to save up money for the school my daughter attends. We've never taken him on a trip before, but since he says money is tight, we decided to bring him with us to visit our daughter. He visited her once on his own back in the fall, but due to his finances, he wouldn't be able to afford another trip this school year. He was over the moon when we invited him. We don't want him to pay for a single thing. His flight, hotel room, he'll be sharing with our son. They get along very well. And his food and drink will all be paid for by us. And really, we're glad to do it. We've also never really had a disagreement with Steve until now. When speaking to my daughter about plans, the hotel came up. This is when I found out that my daughter's dorm roommate is out of town this weekend, and she plans to have Steve stay in her dorm with her while we visit. I told her absolutely not. I said what they do when we aren't there is their business, but since we are going to be there and funding this entire trip, he will be staying at the hotel. Call my husband and I old school or traditional, but we're Christians, and the idea of them staying together on our visit makes us uncomfortable. We think we are being rather generous to take him in the first place. The word got back to Steve, and he actually called me and asked why he couldn't stay with our daughter. I explained my reasons above, and he was irate. He tried to pull the adult card. I said, Steve, here's the deal. If you want to stay with her, that's fine. You will still be welcome to tag along with our family, but there will be separate checks on every meal, and he could figure out his own way to get there. He said we know he can't afford that, and I said, all we ask is that you sleep at the hotel. He agreed, but now my daughter is saying we embarrassed him and he's thinking of not even coming. I think it's nice that you want to pay for the trip, but they are together, and this is an opportunity for them to be together in private. Obviously, they don't get to do this often, so why not just let them be? Your being Christians doesn't stop them from being who they are and doesn't give you the right to butt into their business. You may not agree with it, but they're adults. It's just too bad your generosity is conditional. You're the jerk. Christian generosity is always conditional. 100% agreed. My grandfather and my aunt are just like this, and honestly, it's ridiculous. I was raised evangelical. Help is usually based on conforming to the helper's ideals. It sucks, it's manipulative, and I'm so glad that chapter is behind me. They've known Steve for 3 years. That's a lot for a person so young. This is totally strange. So it's okay as long as you don't know about it? And what is the problem with Steve being at the dorm since you're staying at the hotel? I don't get it. This sounds totally controlling for absolutely no reason. If they're going to hook up, they will do so regardless of whether you force this or not, so it serves absolutely no purpose, other than to control and alienate your daughter. Don't you just love the way that Reddit piles up on you once they find out you're a Christian with actual values? Building a successful life is similar to building a successful business. Without structure and order in our lives, people become extremely confused about themselves and the world around them. They also build animosity for those who are happy and successful. This is why so many of you are as troubled as you are. Instead of building a life founded on principles, your whole identity is based on ways to victimize yourself, to make excuses for why your life is the way it is. Parents, bad. Christians, bad. Rich people, bad. Men, bad. You're the jerk. This isn't about religion, it's about control. You're okay with them being alone overnight as long as you don't foot the bill or know about it. You want to attach strings to limit a gift for 2 adults. Sister-in-law loses it on me for calling my wife beautiful in front of her. I, male 29, am a doctor, and my wife, female 29, is in another high-demand, high-pay field with long hours. I've recently been working more odd hours as opposed to my wife's normal 8-about-6 routine. As such, we have not really seen much of each other for about a week. We're just normally very lovey-dovey, cuddly, and all that kind of stuff. Also, her sister, female 33, has recently divorced from her husband for reasons that are irrelevant in my opinion. Just for context, her sister had an Indian-style arranged marriage, and she does not see the point of love marriages in general. She's taking this quite hard, as in India, where she got her previous marriage from, there's sadly a lot of stigma surrounding women who have divorced, which means if she doesn't find a love marriage, she will likely be alone for the rest of her life, as very few people will want to arrange a marriage with her. I personally think the whole concept of arranged marriages is fine, but a lot of the standards and stigmas surrounding it are quite backwards. So my sister has been staying with me and my wife. We're okay with it, and she's honestly a very nice roommate, always cleaning up after herself, super respectful of our rules in our house. Recently, my wife and I got lucky, and I had my workday end at 5 on Friday, and she came home early. We were pretty excited, and once we were both home, we were together. We decided to watch a movie together for a while, and we were lying on the couch cuddling, sweet-talking to each other a little bit. Her sister came into the room and sat down on the other couch and watched the movie. We weren't really saying anything, to be honest, just stuff like how we missed each other, how it was so painful to be without each other, how we loved each other a lot, that sort of stuff. I was trying to be soft, because the sister looked like she was actually watching the film, but at one point I just held my wife's face and told her, "You're the most beautiful woman in the world." I didn't notice it at the time, but I believe that was when her sister left the room. Later on in the night, after my wife had gone off to prepare for bed, her sister came out and yelled at me. She basically accused me of cuddling with my wife specifically to mock the fact that she doesn't have a husband anymore, and that I was saying that she wasn't beautiful when I told my wife that she was the most beautiful. I tried to calm her down, but she got more riled up, fixating on comparisons between my wife and her, getting a bit too close to me for my liking and asking me questions like, "What makes her hotter than me?" She then held out for a hug, crying a bit, but I shook my head because I was a bit concerned how she went from yelling at me to wanting physical comfort. Eventually, she just backed off and said okay, tearfully, and walked away. Am I the jerk for saying this? Should I have just given her a hug? She yelled at you and then went in for a hug? Holy passive-aggressive, Batman. Not the jerk. She's envious and she's projecting. Not only that, I'm concerned that sister-in-law may try to create issues in OP's marriage. The fact that she waited for her sister to leave before trying to seek affection in her husband is telling worrying. Imagine if they did hug, then sister-in-law will tell sister that her husband hugged her and called her beautiful. Sister-in-law needs to go stat. OP, I really hope you told your wife what happened. Even if you aren't specifically hiding it from her, if the sister decides to spin this against you, it will look so much worse if you haven't already told your wife about it in detail. The first person to tell the story is usually the one that gets believed, so don't let the sister be the one your wife finds out from. Not the jerk. The sister's issues are not your issues, and she's making them your issues. You and your wife need to sit down and have a chat with her about boundaries. She's trampling all over yours. Her misery is not your problem. You guys have helped her out and you're there for her. Now she's becoming a problem. It needs to be nipped in the bud if you want to keep your home feeling like a homely place for you and your wife. That's the priority here. And you should be prioritizing your wife and your marriage over her sister's sadness. My son's girlfriend didn't take me seriously, so I kicked her out of my house. My son, 19 male, still lives at home with me, 40 female. He's been with his girlfriend, who's 18, for about 3 years now, and he asked about her moving in with us. I eventually said yes, and she's now lived with us for around 8 to 9 months. For context, we live in a pretty big house with 2 kitchens, 2 bathrooms, and 4 bedrooms. There's an upstairs area where I sleep and have my own kitchen and the master bathroom. Downstairs, they have their own space and only need to come up to my area for showers. There are no issues with space, and I still have my privacy, so I didn't see much of a problem. But since she's moved in, I felt taken advantage of. She has no job and lost the one she did have almost immediately after moving in. She used to work full-time, but quit. When she first started living with me, she paid $80 a month rent fee, mostly to help with utilities, and her and my son bought their own food. But now that she's lost her job, they're eating a lot of my food that I buy for myself, and I'm only getting about $30 a month from my son who works part-time. So I'm left paying for almost all of their food, water, heat, etc. I was fine with this for a little while between jobs, but it's gone on for 8 months now, and I don't even think she's applying anymore. They're also very loud and inconsiderate. I sleep early, it's how I am, like 8 or 9 p.m. I like to wake up a couple hours before work and enjoy the morning, and my son was always super quiet and respectful until she moved in. Now they'll talk loudly until 12 to 3 a.m. and play music all throughout the day. I've even heard them doing other things at night that I'd really rather not. I've been unable to fall asleep until midnight on most nights. I work at 8:30, so now I'm either rushing to get out the door or losing sleep. I've told them to keep it down so many times, but I feel like a nag because they don't listen and always just say, "We are," or "Yeah, wait a sec," etc. They're completely dismissive of my needs or my sleep schedule. They just don't care. Her attitude has annoyed me because she seems to not take me seriously. I've heard her call me names behind my back multiple times. Well, a month ago, I gave her an ultimatum. I told her that if she didn't get a job and they didn't keep the noise down, then she'd have to leave. She had until the end of the month, January. Obviously, January is over now, and I stuck to my word. I kicked her out on February 12th, and she moved back in with her sister today, where she lived before moving here. My son is so mad at me. He said I'm heartless and need to give her a chance, then basically stormed in his room and hasn't spoken to me since. I've tried texting him and explaining my side, but I'm left on red. I don't want to ruin the relationship I have with my son, but the noise, disrespect, lack of job or trying, eating my food, money it cost me, it all adds up. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. You did give her a chance. You told her unless she gets a job and keeps the noise down, she was out. That was the chance. Your son wanted you to give her endless chances with no consequences. Your son is being unfair. If they want to live together, they can get jobs and find their own place, like the rest of us. Not the jerk. It's your house. They need to follow your rules. In my opinion, you should have kicked your son out too, but it's your life. Good for you for sticking to your word. I'm sure it wasn't easy. You have allowed both of them to disrespect you for too long. You should have been very firm and negotiated boundaries and implemented them immediately. They felt that you were a pushover and could be manipulated. Best to learn from this and make sure you define and enforce boundaries with your son. This will ensure that you get respect in the long run. Not doing this would make you a jerk to yourself. Not the jerk for now. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.